Leah Butler, how are you? Costume designer for the Forever Purge. Amazing job, by the way. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm super excited to be able to talk to you guys, actually.
I'm super excited to be able to talk about this. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. This isn't your first time working in horror, but it is your first time working on the Purge franchise, correct?
Correct. Correct.
Now, when entering the world of the Purge, each entry of the franchise kind of has its own theme. What aesthetic theme did you use for the Forever Purge?
Well, I was brought in to work on this, and I was really intrigued by the director, Everardo, and I liked the storyline. I liked the idea of the protagonists, the people coming together, and to be able to really work on some fun pieces and have everything kind of work with the storyline. So it was a lot of collaboration with the director and then also with my team just to come up with ideas because we had so many different things to play with.
Absolutely. I was just about to ask you about Everardo Gout. He's an amazing director. I think his visuals are stunning. Can you talk to me about working with him during the collaboration process and kind of getting a feel for what he was going to bring to the screen visually as you were going to bring to it on the costume side?
Sure. I think for Everardo, it was really important to have this authenticity of the people, particularly who are from his home country of Mexico. And he really wanted that to feel authentic to the characters. So we did a lot of talking to each other, looking at, the different people in the culture and what they would look like when they came across. Sorry, one second.
All good.
Sorry, I just got a little distracted there. And so, okay, sorry, my bad. Anyway, he even masks are super important, in the Mexican culture. So it was super fun. Like we did some research with some various books and he talked about just the idea of these pieces being just something that could work for each identical person, but something that doesn't necessarily have to make sense too. But the inspiration from these amazing and intricate masks was just a lot of fun for me.
And that leads me into this next question perfectly. So I've spent a lot of time in Mexico on and off, and you're right. Like the masks are such a sign of their culture. Can you talk to me about the influences of the masks that you used for the Forever Purge? Because we see it really prevalent towards the end of the film when the Native Americans are trying to help guide our the people we're following to Mexico. So can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, those ones in particular were very much fun. We actually took some bones and the ideas of skeletons and things like that to bring it into the idea of these masks. And then we worked with, of course, they weren't real, but we did, we took the idea of those things to put on those Native Americans. We also did we had some really unusual things, like there were things that had almost a semblance of being innocent, like the rabbits. I don't know if you remember the rabbits in there, but this idea that they were, kind of this innocence, even pale colors, sort of pastel colors and things like that, and they light up, and then all of a sudden they're scary creatures. So there was quite a variety of masks to work with, and then for the costumes to follow that as well. And I will say it was really interesting too. We did a camera test just to be able to, kind of show different ideas for the masks and the costumes coming together, and to see what works and what doesn't. And that was a lot of fun too, just to be like, oh, I thought that was such a great idea. And then you get to the camera test and you're like, oh, this other one's really better. So
Right. Well, I mean, I see behind you one of the bones. It looks like it could have been influential on the Forever Purge.
I just realized that before I kind of turned on my computer. It's probably the only thing like that in my house, just so you know. It's not a scary place.
Now, another quick question is, were you guys shooting during the pandemic at all?
We did some additional photography, but it was mostly done before. Yeah.
So, because it's interesting watching.
Yeah, it was done before.
I mean, watching the film back, it's pretty interesting now because we've been in lockdown for a better part of like 18 months now.
Right.
And the masks it's something I'm used to seeing at this point, right? So like
Right.
in the world of the Purge, it almost was like, well, like it almost felt normal to me, which is kind of scary in a way, because a lot of these situations that the Purge happens to be in, I feel like these kind of things can happen, right? We saw the storming on Capitol Hill earlier this year, and it really feels like these kind of things can happen. But when you guys were doing the additional photography, I'm sure that the pandemic wasn't even in mind when you had some of the masks as influences. I remember there was one with teeth that I really thought that I really liked.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we had some great ones actually, and it was fun just collaborating and coming up with the various ideas. And we actually have somebody who's worked on several of the Purge movies, and she is just a specialist and an amazingly creative person in actually, putting together the masks. So it was fun working with her, and then of course my whole entire team. Yeah.
Now you had mentioned one of my favorite costumes earlier, which was the bunnies. I absolutely love the bunnies. And during the course of the film, we actually see a lot of animal imagery throughout the film. Can you talk to me about the animal influence in the Forever Purge and in the costume design?
Yeah, we definitely had this sort of animal theme to it. But like I said, there were these innocents, and then sort of just more of the bones and things like that you see in the skeletons. It was something actually that I think Everardo came up with in the very beginning. It was one of his ideas to sort of come forward and come full circle with, but then we combined some unusual. I remember having this discussion with him too about the bunny costume, and there was this sort of like, it's sort of a butcher kind of an apron on him. And then I was actually going to put some fur bits and things like that. And he was like, no, we're just going to keep it like this with the fun mask on it. And together, I just think, I was like, wow, that really works. So, so much of this was really taking the masks, working with different elements in the costumes, and just creating that thing that comes together finally for us.
It's crazy that when I saw that bunny, I thought it was almost like something in my nightmares. That bunny is terrifying to me. Yeah. Now, another one I want to talk about is the Forever Purge bandits that we see on the ranch. Can you talk to me about their design, especially their face paint, because it is very reminiscent of Day of the Dead, Dios de los Muertos, in Mexico. So can you talk about that a little bit?
Sure. That whole group, whose leader was Will Breton, and he's an amazing actor, and we really wanted to come with these dark elements to make them sort of this band of people that rise up against. So we worked with the costumes of what they actually would wear as a rancher, but yet have these sort of like dusters and different things and different coats. And I have a funny story about Will, because we were in his fitting, and I was trying on all these various coats for him to sort of start feeling, so much of the character comes to the actor through the fittings, as you know. Right. And he was like, yeah, I'm not really feeling that. I'm not really feeling that. And I was like, you know what? I don't think we have it here. Let's go look in the costume house. And I don't normally do this with an actor, but he was so into his character. I mean, he was so into the look and the feel of how he should be. So we took him down into the costume house and walked some of the aisles and came across some coats that we really liked, and all of a sudden he was like, no, this is it. I love it. This is it. So it was really fun for me to work with that sort of feel for him. The masks came along around the same time. And then they wanted to also have the makeup be a reflection of what the whole persona was. And so Everardo worked with the makeup team to come up with those looks. Yeah,
I love that look. It was so cool. It was a really cool like design aesthetic to me. Now, what was one of the more technically difficult or challenging costumes that you had to design for the Forever Purge?
Well, that's a good question. Let me think here. Well, I do think that the bunny was difficult because it took a little bit more time. You wouldn't believe what our prep area looked like. I mean, it was so many different racks of clothes and things that we would take and tear and add things to. And, we had these like blue collar ideas and all different kinds of ideas to come together and to have this be like sort of a complete look. So it was really the quantity, because we had a lot of background. We had a lot of things that we had to put, that needed to work together and come. And so I had a talented team of people, really kind of like adding bits and pieces and working with it. It was a lot of fun. But let's see. I think, some of those masks that you see towards the end, those were some of the more difficult ones, I feel like, on the Native Americans, because we came up with, we had the idea of it, and then we had to make it so it fits, and then there are stunts and they're running around and they're doing all this stuff. So it has to be comfortable on them too. So just to have a minimal amount of time just to make it fit and be comfortable and something they can wear, that's always a challenge in our department.
Now, the last question I have for you, and this is switching gears a little bit. You are responsible for one of the, I think, coolest costume designs for superheroes at Shazam. Is there any other superheroes you'd like to take your crack at?
Oh, well, gosh, I would love to see one of the femme fatales, one of our, like a very strong female. And I know that Batgirl is in the works, so something like that would be super fun for me. I just think that there's so much to portray right now, and women in their strength and go forward. And so, yeah, that would be fun for me.
I love that. Well, look, the Forever Purge is going to be releasing on home entertainment on September 14th. Thank you so much for your time. The costumes in this are phenomenal and fantastic job. I really appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.